morning, the administration on defense after suffering 3 legal setbacks in the span of 90 minutes on funding for USAID, refugees, and the freezing of federal funds. Let's get right to CNN's Caitlin Polantz for the latest on this. Good morning.
Good morning, John. The judges are looking at these lawsuits and saying, yeah, maybe the Trump administration can't just shut off federal funding, however it wants, in very quick order, turn that money back on. So the 3 examples we got yesterday, orders from judges, 1 in Seattle, 2 in federal court in Washington. 1 said you can't shut off federal funding to refugee financial support. Another said you can't freeze federal funding to nonprofit groups through a broad directive of the Office of Management and Budget. That could be potentially catastrophic to those nonprofit organizations.
It's supposed to be catastrophic to them. It's shutting them down. That's about as catastrophic as it gets. He didn't say, I'm trying to cut back the profits or reorganize the management. He's shutting them down. What part of shutting them down don't people get? And what part of winning an election and becoming a president don't people get? I don't give a fuck how much you dislike Donald Trump or any president. You're being lied to if this is the way this country runs, where the people in the minority can hold up what's going on in that ain't what checks and balances are. Checks and balances are the executive branch, the judiciary branch, and Congress. And they check each other to keep everything in. Now, when one of those parties that we have in our duopoly oh my God, I can't believe this shit is really happening. We getting fooled and lied to right in our face. And maybe because we don't understand the way the government is structured. You don't have to understand the politics, which can change from time to time, depending on who's in power or what's going on. I get that. But how can we allow them to lie to us and tell us that Donald Trump is the president of the United States and he does things that they don't like and they deem to be illegal based on a feeling? Because somebody who is in a particular financial state is being harmed by it. So they go to run to court because it doesn't line up with their moral code and it tugs at their heartstrings, and they go into court and slow down. Now, I agree that if Donald Trump is trying to pull back money that Congress already approved, that money should go through, unless it's found to have been some bullshit going on, some illegal activity, some immoral activity, funneling money, through that USAID to family members and shit. And yeah, fuck that. Yeah, that money should be pulled back. But if it's deemed to be what they said it was, even though Trump's administration might determine that that's frivolous in his opinion, but if it's not illegal or not breaking any kind of codes, that money should go through. But going forward, that's it. That's it. He can dismantle that department unless there is just people there needed for oversight and to see this money, go into the hands of where it was supposed to go and then start to close it down. I can totally see him realistically closing down any department that he chooses to. You got to start making yourself aware of the injustice that you're walking in every day, or else you'll just think that's the way life goes. It isn't. It's the way life goes for your ass, but not for everybody else. And you got to fix it where you don't have to be treated so differently in a country that you're a citizen, when they're showing us every day that they're willing to bend over backwards for everyone else. Whatever they're doing is they're arguing over something, and it ain't us. That there's so far, has Trump shut down anything that black people are screaming about yet? Well, he ain't got all the way around the government yet either, but I just don't see him. He's targeting us the way they're saying he's targeting us. Now, we may truly be affected by some of these cuts and some of this stuff that's going on, but on the backside of it, It's not going to be instant to, when you shut one door, the other one's just going to open up. And there are going to be some people who might be harmed as a result of the Democrats having everybody on the fucking government's dime. That ain't the way you run a country. That ain't the way you run anything. Everybody's in a welfare state. And then when that runs out, or they're not eligible, or their mental capacity, or they don't have a place to live to even receive a check, when they drop to that point, below what most of us look at as poverty, below that, there are people down there. And a lot of them look like me. And it's frustrating to know that the government is cool with it. They cool with it. I mean, they know what's going on down there, and Trump is cool with it too. Yeah, I just can't believe that we got people living in so low that they're off our radar. They're off most of our radars. We don't even realize that. I mean, we know, but we don't know. Most of us aren't in a position to barely help ourselves, let alone going out trying to help. But to think that as a country, with all these billions of dollars, what if they took the and I don't know, I think in one video I said 400 billion. I think it was 40 billion, but it might have, wait, no, it wasn't. It was 400 billion. $400 billion in US aid, going abroad to Africa, and then all they can tell us about is the people, the kids that it's, don't take all that money to feed those starving kids. And we have humanitarian groups also who are collecting money and sending it to some of those starving countries and some of those European poor countries. I mean, we are giving out a lot of money, and I'm at this point in my life where me first, my family first, my people first, because we've never had that attitude and employed it successfully, because we've always been stopped or altered. You just naturally do, though. You don't have to go around with t-shirts. You don't have to have slogans and poems and shit. All you got to do is really genuinely love your people like everybody else. I mean, it's rude to me when I'm in the workplace trying to get work done and people are sitting there talking about the beautiful weekend they had with their family, and their daughter-in-law just had a baby and how beautiful it is and all that shit. And I think it's the most beautiful thing in the world that people are that proud and that in love with their family life and everything. But I don't come to work for that shit. I don't come to work to know nothing about you outside of that door, because that way I don't have to worry about nothing coming out of me or you thinking something coming out of me because of something you told me. Don't tell me nothing I don't want to know. Just come your ass to work on time, and we can work 8 hours or 12 hours together, and that's it. That's how I feel about it, because anything beyond that puts me at a disadvantage. Doesn't help me to get to know my coworkers. But I have enough friends. I don't need no coworkers to be my friends, because of the implications and what can happen to you as a result of people coming to work and just spilling their guts about their personal life, the good and the bad. And it backfired for whatever reason. But back to Trump, folks. The man know what the fuck he is doing. He's trying to shut down some shit so that it fits into the plan that now how is his tax plan going to work that the Democrats are saying it ain't going to work, it ain't going to work? Well, of course it's not going to work, because you're trying to take major components away from it. How can he implement his plan and it be successful if you fight him along this every step of the way and trip him up so that, okay, he's got everything in order to get his tax plan rolling, to get things going in the direction he's trying to get it to go, so that his plan can begin to take over the country and we can start to feel the good or bad effects of it, and we'll have a better opportunity by what we feel, as opposed to what the Democrats keep telling us while they're sabotaging the motherfucker. How can you do anything successfully and you got somebody dragging you into court? This is gonna backfire on the Democrats. Being in the minority and thinking that they're gonna win in this midterm, which is a very positive way to think of yourself and everything, but they have no reason to think that way. What have they done in recent times to it looks like the Republicans are on a roll, and it would be in the Democrats' best interest to continue to obstruct, to continue to send out the Jasmine Crockett's and just blurt out shit and offend people and just be that dripping water in the middle of the night that you just goddamn can't turn off. That is the shit that the Democrats are stooped to and relying on. That shit right there. Oh, we gotta obstruct. We gotta slow them down. We gotta. If that's how politics go, hey, fuck it. That's how politics go. If they want to cry that the Republicans are using illegal tactics and breaking the laws, then that's how it is. It makes you lose confidence in the system, because this should be a government, whether you like it or not. Somebody got to win. Somebody got to lose. And when you lose, you can't start crying about humanitarian type issues and aids that you have piled up on these people over the years, to the point where, what if it stopped because the government collapsed? What if that's why it stopped? Then you can't go to court and get it reinstated, because you've sucked the money out of this government, and you have a complete class of people that you enslaved, and you ain't willing to stand them upright. You ain't willing to break them off properly. What they've contributed as slaves and beyond, after the slavery. The medical experiments. Where do you think medicine in this country would be without them forcing slaves into medical experiments from the time we hit the shores here? How do you think they knew what to do to the white patients without fucking them up real bad? They had to fuck up some black people real bad first. That's the kind of shit that we need to accept as fact and use it as a guide when it comes to breaking that money off and breaking that land off, and giving us an opportunity to stand like men in this country and take care of our families like everybody else. And that is the point that I'm getting back to. If Donald Trump is doing something that we as black people are going to like better than what we were doing under the Democrats for the last 60 years, because it felt about the same shit. Even Reagan came in and took away some of those social programs. And that the reason that I feel the pain of it, and the reason that my brainwashed ass says it the way I do, is because how come Reagan can come in and take it away, but when the Democrats come in, they don't put it back, or put it back better, or build it in a way where it's safer, or like, yeah, that's some bullshit, we doing without it anyway. Give us something better. Make a program or a plan that benefits us, that we don't have to keep coming to you every time we're hungry, that it can duplicate itself, and we can share it with other black people and move on and gain wealth from that kind of program that these motherfuckers don't want to do. They have no intention on doing it. The Democrats. Why are the Democrats paralyzed when they're in office when it comes to black people? But we're the center of their campaigns when it comes to entertainment at their conventions, sob stories. People get up there breaking down sob stories, have tear jerkers and shit. Humor, need a little comedy. There's some black people. We're nothing but useful fucking slaves to them. We're slaves. The way they treat us. Because they aren't reciprocating. They ain't giving us shit back. Everything is going in their direction, and they not giving us anything back. And then they want us to help them fight Trump, when we need to leave him alone and let him work his plan. Let's see what it is. Let's see if it's as bad as they say it is, and tell them to sit down and shut the fuck up too. And like Jasmine Crockett said a few months back, we're going to just eat our popcorn. Get you some motherfucking popcorn and kick back. In fact, I will purchase popcorn for the entire Congress. I think I can afford that. I get them a bucket about this big, and they can't be getting too greedy. But yeah, fuck that. I just want a photo op with black popcorn in front of the Congress. Because I'm telling you guys, as soon as the Democrats, they're going to get the fuck out the way. It's just unfortunate that they're slowing this down even a little bit. Because they're doing district courts and federal courts and local shit, whatever. It don't even matter, because Trump has already set up the Supreme Court. That's where the fights are going to be fought, And it's gonna slow some shit down. But I do believe with the super majority that he's enjoying, the Supreme Court will expedite some shit. You're gonna see the wheels of justice turn like you've never seen it turn before. You're gonna be like, whoa, and the Democrats ain't gonna like it then, because that's an absolute country changing decision. It will change the way other things. This is when we're going to find out where Trump and where this. I believe there are so many more racists who are supporting Trump, who are more intelligent than Trump, who have more knowledge and are piggybacking some of these economic things that they're doing off of some racially motivated shit. And I don't know if Trump is picking it up or if he's with this shit, but I do see a bit of the racial shit in there. And I think it's kind of just in there naturally, I think, organically. I don't think they put it in there. It's just the way it is in this country. It's just things have been repeated in that way so long that it's not even intentional. They don't bake the cake no more. It's just fucking the way it is. And we feel the tension and the pressure of being racially resented against, because they do in every institution on every level. And the Democrats have come up with this nice plan to even put their slaves to work fighting against their own best interests. And that's just the low of all fucking lows right there. Release us. Let us fucking go. Shit. You guys fight your own goddamn battles over there, because it ain't our fight. I want to see what Donald Trump is going to do. And if anybody who really wants to see things move forward, they're not going to move forward by moving backwards. And they're not going to move backwards if they're not going to move forward if we go back to those Democrats and say, yeah, we won. And then grab them by the leg and they'll tell us, hey, I was just glad I was able to save you. You know, fuck that. We can do better than that shit. It's very, very, very insulting.
Essentially fatal to them. So that can't happen. And then a third judge said that foreign aid money going through USAID out to contractors and nonprofit groups doing work around the globe, get that money to them that is owed. That is Judge Amir Ali saying that in court yesterday. And
I hope they remember that, Judge, because I really believe you can audit most foreign aid, especially if it's going into African countries. And it's some goddamn fucking bullshit going on. The little stone fucking bowls with that corn mush they feeding those starving kids. What the fuck? They should be eating better than that. It shouldn't be them little bowls of mush that we see on that fucking USA commercial. And that shit seemed like the same one. Have they ever made a new one? Is that what they're really feeding them fucking kids? But it's at that point where you know it's some shit going on, and if that judge wants to be the one to push back, I'd audit the fuck out of that USAID more than I was, and it would be on his head, and it would cost him his job for doing that, because I believe, right or wrong, agree or don't agree, under the guise of being a democratic system run by the people, for the people, by the people, and all that shit. And we'll get to a little bit more of that in a minute, because I want to talk about the more of the people shit. I'm going to show how much other people it is. But yeah, we need to move on with what Trump wants to do. We need to let this man go work. And everybody, but we going to be back in, so we going to be no motherfucking place. We're going to be right where we are right now, on the motherfucking bottom. But maybe that will wake us up to, we got to do something. We cannot continue to be the watchdogs for the Democrats. Everybody's really proud of Jasmine Crockett lately, the way she's just going around insulting people and starting fights and arguments and shit, and being so kind of, I don't know what the word to use. I don't want to be offensive or nothing, but it's something about her little personality that is unnecessary to me. It doesn't seem like she has to come off like that to be effective. And if she does, then we need to do something different. That's the persona and the attitude. Like I was telling my wife, that one man, Nancy, I was about to say Macy Grace, Nancy Grace, who went off on her and was like, we can take this outside. Now, the way Jasmine Crockett be coming off and the way she talk, you know, she's an aggressive talking person, the way she come off, but she's articulate and she's intelligent. So when she come off at people real fucked up like that, the way she does, child, you know, you're in the Congress, you're in the middle of fucking Congress and you saying that, this is my opinion, child, or whatever you want to call the lady. So the white lady gets offended and also don't want to look like a punk. She, you know, kind of like, oh shit, you know, she kind of caught her off guard. So the white lady was like, we can take this outside. Yeah, we can take, and that was just a natural response of her trying to not get punked in the middle of a Congress, because these Congress people now is different. They want to be street cred and shit. I mean, honestly, I really believe she felt like, oh no, you're not about to just talk to me like I'm not your child and we can take this out. When she said that, I said, oh yeah, she trying to be tough. She want to go outside. And she probably will go outside and beat the shit out of Jasmine Crockett, because Jasmine Crockett is also playing a role. That ain't who Jasmine Crockett really is. And I would like to pull up some old footage of her when she was a local congressperson and in local politics and see what her persona was, because I doubt if it was this. I believe she was with the hair and the eyelashes and the glam, but I don't believe that she is this. This is this Democratic Party letting her know, you know, by giving her some assignments, some pretty tough ones. You got to get out there and carry the water. And if they, you know, feel good about you, they'll move you up and put you on some committees that really matter. Because right now, none of them matter. You guys are in the minority. It don't goddamn matter. Elon Musk them got that shit sold up. I don't know what to say. The man has contracts and shit all over our military installations. So he's obviously got that talk is kind of dying down about his security clearance and all that. That's kind of, I mean, the motherfucker sending missiles with, American payloads on it. He's carrying our stuff into space for us. We're not giving him money. He's doing shit. You know, he's a car company owner. He's got shit going on. I don't like when people talk bad about a person who, in my personal opinion, is probably a better advisor than anybody who Joe Biden had. And anybody who want to argue that or whatever, on what grounds? I don't know. I'm just saying none of Joe Biden's advisors did shit for black people. So that's my measuring stick. Now, what's his name? Fucking Elon Musk, he might be the same. He is from South Africa. It's a fucking pretty goddamn good chance. But let's see what the policies between him and Trump produce for us. And let's see if Trump break away as president like he is and grant some things and say some things and agree to some things. Trump, a motherfucker, probably give away some government land to us and we'd be like, whoa, you never know. Hey, I wouldn't even be opposed to black people being given some of the land that is still being handed down family to family to family. And it's unfortunate. People say, whoa, taking people's land. That's it. That's how it happened. And because we are the same country that we were when this happened, it can be corrected. You can't say, oh, we were something else then. No, we weren't. We were the United States of America. We were holding slaves. We were killing black people and torturing them and abusing them. We're the same country. So we can right the wrong. And with the proper documentation and records and go down and knock on some of these plantation doors and say, hey, how long you had this place? Oh, God, Pappy got it back in the late 1600s. Been in the family ever since. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. Or at least cut the motherfucking land in half and give us half of it. Maybe they'll have to live next door to us for a minute. Maybe they'll sell their portion, get the fuck on completely. But, I mean, right is fucking right. Shit. And we need to quit being fucking scared to say it. And every time you get near a microphone or somebody who listening to your ass, say that shit so they understand what's real and what the fucking Democrats want for us. The Democrats want nothing for us.
He gave the federal government a deadline of midnight tonight to turn the money back on, to get those payments made to USAID contractors and nonprofits. But John, the federal government then came back in court late last night in a filing and told the judge, it's not that easy. We shut off the money and it's going to take us weeks to get it out to those contractors and nonprofits working in foreign aid. Peter.
Now they all playing games. Trump and them could get that fucking money back out by midnight if it was for a cause they chose. And the Democrats didn't have to fucking go whining to a judge to get the shit cut off in the first. It's a fucking bullshit ass game. And we ain't even caught in the middle of it. We ain't even fucking being acknowledged. And we get the loudest voices and the most attitude and the most opinion about this shit that they ain't even thinking about us. We ain't in this. We just got to stand back on the sideline and hope and pray that change comes, because what we've been doing hasn't worked for us, and we can relinquish that and let it go and admit it, and we can move on to something new and be negotiators in Trump's administration. Set up regular meetings with him. Set up a meeting with him, and then at the end of the meeting, when you reach out and shake his fucking hand, say, all right, we'll pencil you in for, and make a fucking date up. And he'll be like, oh, well, are we doing that? Yeah, that's what we doing. Trump, I think he'll be easier to deal with. Biden wasn't. He basically, if I don't know, if we ask for something very, very small and he grants it, he's topped Biden. He doesn't have to do very much to top Biden. That's just a fact. Biden was fucked up to black people. I just don't know why we liked him. And why Obama brought that old dinosaur back out. He should have let him retire. He would have retired around 2010, 2012. Been gone. But they kept him around.
Morocco, the USAID top manager right now, wrote to the court, restarting funding related to terminated or suspended agreements is not as simple as turning on a switch or faucet. So they want more time. They're going to an appeals court this morning. This is a very live situation, a clash between potentially the courts, the foreign aid world, and the Trump administration.
They're going to take this shit to the Supreme Court, and it's going to be very different. It's going to be quite fucking different. Once they get to the Supreme Court, then you'll see. You know how the Democrats keep saying he's breaking the law, he's breaking the law, he's breaking the law. He is dealing with them in accordance with the courts. They're filing cases in court, and Donald Trump is responding and responding, in agreement or compliance with what they're asking him to do. So how's he breaking the law? How's he so now? Because his policies are so different from the Democrats. That doesn't make you an illegal person. That doesn't mean you're a lawbreaker. It just means your policies are very different than theirs. And the reason I had to go back and rewind and say that is because a lot of people are getting it mixed up, because the Democrats are pounding racism into your head, and he's doing things that are quite different than what they were doing, and it looks like racism to us. But really, racism is what we've been living through and supporting and promoting.
What to do with Trump's attempt to shut down that entire agency's work at USAID. John?
Look, it has such consequences. Caitlin, I understand you've got some new information about fired federal workers maybe getting their jobs back for now.
Yeah, John, another live ball in court overnight. There's a board that reinstated 6 fired employees who were probationary workers in the federal government. So they weren't on probation. They were just new to their jobs. The Trump administration is firing thousands of people like this across many different agencies. This came...
Be able to. If you work for the government, the top of the government, and probably hanging in your fucking office somewhere is a picture of the president, that means that's your boss. That's your boss's fucking boss. And if that motherfucker decide he don't want you working in the company anymore or in the government, there's nothing you can do but go home. Pack your shit in a little paper box and go home. That's the way you do it. The person who is sitting in that seat may have been hired during a Democratic administration. And these people ain't neutral. I used to believe they was. They ain't neutral. They have their opinion. I bet goddamn well they prefer Biden over Trump. Right now, I bet they're biased and got a side they take. Look, he's shutting down their jobs. I get it. But Donald Trump has an agenda, and in order for him to accomplish it and for us to see if he know what the fuck he's talking about, he has to be allowed to work out his plan. That's all I feel, really, in my heart. If we don't allow him to do that, then we allow Biden to do what he wanted to do. Like, remember, between Congress not being able to figure out the border down there, Biden took it upon his own fucking self and just opened the border up. I mean, is that fucked up? And then when he felt that the election was close and that he might lose, he closed it. That's just like, man, I just think that's the most fucked up shit ever. For them to have done that to us. And for not to let the man do his shit. Do it. Fuck it. We have to get stronger. And we cannot get stronger if we continue to rely on the government and the Democrats the way we do. We're not going to get stronger. We haven't been getting stronger. It's no end to the things they'll ask us to do. And history is not going to look back at us kindly. We have to grab the reins and do something for ourselves so that we can have something to be proud of during this era. Because right now, all we are doing is being placed in high positions so that the optics are there. But we need to make sure that the action is there and the reality.
These people came from a bunch of different agencies and said, this feels improper. And the board looked at their cases and said, yeah, we agree. Reinstate them for 45 days to their jobs in federal agencies. And we're going to then take a closer look in court with more proceedings to come. One of those people who lost their jobs among these federal probationary workers who've been fired, John, it was a disabled veteran who on the same day he lost his job was told by his supervisor that his work was going above and beyond. So,
okay. A disabled veteran losing his job, his government job, is horrible shit, you know. But that isn't the kind of stuff that we should base our opinions on as presidents. Because if we say, hey, a disabled vet, you know, who had just gotten on that job and was really liking it, and it was helping him in every way, you know, his mood, his spirit, his depression, everything was just cracking for him, you know. And you say, wow, we can't do that. Well, you can't just pick him and give him back his job and then everybody else who got fired. So you have to make some allowances, I guess, to do that kind of thing. So then when a person like me jumps up and raises his hand in the back of the room and says, hey, what about those descendants of slaves over there? But then how come everybody would turn away and say, well, he shut up. What the fuck is he over there talking about? See, that's what I'm talking about. If seeing broke black men ain't a tearjerker to you, if that don't make you touch your heart and make you cry, you ain't got a soul. You have to be able to look at that and say, wow, such capable, such loving, such passionate people. And they just get intentionally fucked up. And then if somebody does, you know, it's important that you have a voice out there and not some of what we got going out there, even on YouTube, because most people don't want to argue and fight all day. And I damn sure don't. I just want like-minded people who do understand that the Democrats ain't telling us the truth about all these things. And it's causing us to look kind of crazy out there. And we need to bring it back in and reset this shit and really make better moves going forward. And when we show up at their little DNC affairs and we perform for them, or the Republicans, just pay them, charge them so much money that it's like a lot. So other people will be like, damn. And then the country western singers will want to do it. And other folks are following that because right now they're getting us for a deal. And in some cases, not very much. Kamala probably end up getting in trouble for spending some of the campaign money that she spent on entertainment and shit. That's some bullshit. And it didn't work. She should have been better off on the ground. Go and pick you some union members up who you're going to do something for. Don't just use union members to get you elected. Don't just use black people to get you elected. Don't just use even illegal immigrants just to get you elected. And you guys are so detached from what's really going on. And it's so sad to know that we live in a state, California, that all of the resources and money that we could have is being sucked up to accommodate the immigration issue that's going on. And black people just have to sit back and wait again and then once they settle that and hash that out, because they will, then will it be our turn? Probably not.
That's why the board thinks that there may be a problem here, because you are not supposed to be able to fire federal workers without cause. John?
Interesting contradictions there. All right, Caitlin Polantz, great reporting. Thank you very much. Sarah.
All right, James Eisenman is now joining us. He previously worked on that little-known Merit Systems Protection Board that Caitlin was just mentioning. He is with me to talk through this. What power does this board have to reinstate employees?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. The Merit Systems Protection Board has the power to hear appeals from federal employees, federal whistleblowers who have been fired or retaliated against. And the board has the authority through either its administrative judges or the board itself to reinstate federal employees who've been wrongly fired.
Definitely see why anybody with a decent amount of common sense who is elected president in the United States would want every goddamn body in almost every agency that has any kind of sway in any kind of way out. I get rid of them all. Fuck that. I bring in my own people because I see a major problem coming up. When I think of checks and balances, like I said, that's the judiciary, the executive, and Congress. And when you go beyond that and you start using the lower levels of the government and the federal courts against a president to slow him down, and when you know what he's doing isn't illegal, it's just against what you would do. Because if the Democrats were so worried about what Trump is doing is being illegal, they would never have allowed illegal immigrants in here, just opening doors and giving orders to paid government officials to not do their job. But isn't that the kind of thing that would make you want to fire government workers who would do that? Instead of saying, nope, sir, I have a job description and I have to follow it, and you're telling me to go ahead and open the gates and let these people in, but I'm not going to do it. They don't do that. They just do listen to what the president tells them to do. Biden got his way. He did what the fuck he wanted to do and filled up this. You know how much money that cost us? How far away that pushes our reparations or any help that we might get to close the economic wealth gap. It doesn't make any sense for us to just keep being put off by a group of people who need us as much as they do. They need us so much, and they don't want us to go over and talk to Trump, because if Trump come at us in the right way, it's going to be really bad for the Democrats. They may truly be out as a party and not even exist anymore. They may have to be replaced. I'm voting for the Black Party. That's what I'm talking about.
How does the board work?
So the board works through initially appeals to administrative judges. The board has regional and field offices throughout the country. There are about 65 administrative judges. Someone, a federal employee who was fired, files an appeal in one of those regional offices. The administrative judge conducts a hearing, much like a trial, except there's no jury, calling of witnesses, bringing about
like an arbitration. But the thing about that too is, if I was Trump, I would have shut all that shit down. All of it. The federal fucking mediation board or any of that shit. If you have something to do with USAID in any capacity, even if it's regulating the workforce, ain't no workforce. I just fired them all. So you're fired too. I'd have fucking just got rid of all of them. And the only thing that bothers me is coming into this election, how the Democrats were trying to give us the impression that Trump was going to have troops in the street and, putting us on lockdowns and curfews and basically changing the government as we know it, which he is doing. But he's doing it in accordance with the law. They file a court case against him. He responds to it. The court makes a judgment. He complies with it. Has been. He hasn't ignored them yet. And because of that, that makes me pissed that when we were running up to the election and the people who they were scaring, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, thinking that it was going to be so much different than the way it is. It's still in accordance with the law. It's following what we have in this country. There are going to be politicians who don't think like Democrats. There's going to be people who want change. And because of that, they can't be exiled and looked at as a bad thing. We are a group that fits that criteria. We want things no one else in this country seems to want. And justifiably so, but we don't have no support for what we want. And it's not like people don't know what the deal is. They just don't support us. Hey, well, what can you do? So you have to support yourself. And you have to let them know you ain't fucking with them since they ain't fucking with you. But that's what we have a hard time with. But that'll be another video at a later date.
The judge issues a decision. That decision from the judge can be appealed to the 3 board members at headquarters of the MSPB.
I want to get your take on this. We just heard from an employee and her attorney who said that she was fired for what DOJ called poor performance. She says, though, she has never had a poor performance review in her almost 20 years working for Veterans Affairs.
Right. She probably was a perfect employee for the last 20 years. But in the last 30 days under Trump, she just didn't seem like she was cutting it. She didn't seem like-minded. She didn't seem like she was blending in with the spirit of the workplace. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's how he felt. But the thing about it is, you're a government employee. And your boss's boss is Donald Trump. He was Biden. And Biden liked the chain of command that he had down there. Trump don't. Trump want to eliminate departments. I think he should be allowed to. I think it's going to be very eye-opening when the United States citizens see that we are going to have to really look out for ourselves. We are really going to have to set ourselves up better. Black people, we have to do better. And working with the Democrats ain't gonna do it. We're going to be running in place with them motherfuckers. They don't give a damn. So push harder. If you're pushing, push harder.
She had just changed her position and became a provisional employee. She said her supervisor wasn't even aware she was being fired. She just got an email saying that her job had been terminated for poor performance. How does DOJ have all this power? And are you seeing something here that just doesn't make sense? It's something the board could look at.
They don't understand how the government works. If you're a president and you set up a task force and you give them an assignment and they're doing what you ask them to do, they're working at the direct direction of the president of the United States. She just asked, what authority do they have? The fucking president. And if there is another authority other than the president, then somebody's been lying to us. That this ain't the way it's supposed to work. You don't need Congress and everybody to vote on every fucking thing. Some things you get to decide you want to do for yourself. And he want to look into the books. And he got a DOJ committee to do it. If you don't like it, you have to win the next election. That's just the only way you can get around this shit.
Yeah, that's a great question, how DOJ has this authority. I'm not quite sure that they actually do have this authority. And these notices that have been going out to federal employees throughout the federal government about their performance being subpar are really just cookie cutter. They're not individualized evaluations of employees' performance, which to me just shows what a sham the entire process of firing these probationary employees is.
What can employees do if they've lost their jobs? And I mean, do they have to hire an attorney? Is that what they have to do, even though they're in this financial situation that, many of them may not be able to afford one?
Right. There are a number of groups that are working to help federal employees in all these situations to address their or get redress for their rights.
What right do you have when your employer don't want you to work there no more? And their basic reasoning is, we're just about to do things differently, or we're about to close your department. No, you can't close my department. It's full of fraud and waste, and I need this job to pay my mortgage. Is that the reason? That's what I'm saying. If we're gonna do this, and everybody's on board with it, especially my fellow black people, then we should have no problem making that same request for ourselves. We should make that exact same, turn that shit right back around on us. Hey, let's go to court. Your Honor, we don't have no land. We don't have no businesses. We don't have shit. They just turned us loose and didn't give us anything. And then when we started accumulating things, they took it and tore it up. We need to go and do the same thing. And we want something. We want some action. Nobody's done anything there, but these government workers are losing their job and everybody's all up in arms. I get it. But they are being fired under the law. I know how the Democrats roll. They'll figure some of this shit out that he's doing that they like, and they'll keep it. It won't change. And that's the problem with them. But they won't come out and publicly tell us, hey, we thought that this part of Trump's idea or this part of Trump's idea, they ain't going to do that. They're not going to do that at all. And they should. They should be honest and just say, yeah, that was a pretty good idea on his part, or his advisors did right there. Everything Elon Musk do ain't going to be good, but everything is not going to be bad because they are belly aching and whining and screaming over there too much. And that makes me suspicious.
They don't to hire attorneys. The process is an administrative process, which is designed hopefully for individuals to manage it themselves. However, this can be a complicated area, especially whether someone is a probationary employee or not. But there are a number of groups out there that are trying to assist federal employees as they go through this very, very difficult and complicated time. But there are a lot of groups out there trying to help them out.
There's a lot of groups out there helping out. Do you guys hear that? Black people, are you listening? It's just we don't touch the heart. We don't make people tears roll down their cheeks when they hear about our plight, our story, our fucking abuse and life story in this country since we got here. It ain't enough. But Donald Trump shut down a few government agencies, and true enough, some people are going to lose their employment and all of that. It's very unfortunate. But why doesn't all these groups pop up to help black people? To help them. Not to go and waste their time, or not to become a nonprofit and become part of the USAID shit and organizations like it. Really help black people. Really give a fucking care. Because, it's just such a trip how people can mobilize at the drop of a dime when it's something that they really care about. But when it's something they really don't care about, they really don't care about it, including the Democrats. They're the most obvious. They're fighting hard for this. This pisses them off because they have an infrastructure of shit going on with all this money. And all that money is going overseas, wasn't staying overseas. Some of that shit's probably coming back. And they know it. And they fighting hard. And they are. But I do believe that if you like politics, you're about to get really excited because this shit's going to end up in the Supreme Court. And then you're going to see what the true meaning of checks and balances are. And when you're in the minority, you can't check shit. All you can do is obstruct and annoy and irritate. But when you are in the majority, that's when checks and balances are coming into play. And the judiciary, the executive, and Congress will check each other to make sure one doesn't get out of power. Does anybody know what the provision is if all three of those parties link up, or those three, and those branches rather, and decide they want to take over the government or change the government, in a way that, the Constitution would be different? Well, with the big enough majority, they can do that. That's how the government is set up. And the Democrats are acting like it isn't. Donald Trump had a bunch of supporters run into the Capitol You can call them supporters, but I think it'd be best to call them citizens of this country. They ran into the fucking Capitol and just acted like pissed off citizens of the United States and did what their emotions led them to do, with a little inspiration from Donald Trump. But they were inspired to go in there and just say, fuck, this is not going to stand. You guys are not going to do this. Hell no, we won't go, and steal the vote and all that. Remember that shit? And you know what Trump did? He fought hard. He got reelected. And that motherfucker gave them clemency. He pardoned them. And that offers legitimacy to what they did. All up and down the Democratic leaning networks, you hear a lot of talk about that stuff. But when the president pardons those people who were his supporters and broke the law, then they're no longer lawbreakers. That's historic what they did and got away with. And it's doubly historic because nobody else would ever get away with that shit again. Ever, never, ever. But they did that shit. And that in itself is quite a feat. And there's probably not another group or another president who would have a group of supporters who could pull that off. That one there, that one kind of blew me away. I was glued to it, and it was what it was. But it just lets me know that we're not being unreasonable. If people can be so up in arms at the government, people losing their job, and I do understand that people need their employment, but if your company closes, your company closes. It's not one of those things that you get to determine or go and sue your boss because he mismanaged the company and the business is going out under, and you can't sue him because for that reason. You can just go and look and find another job. I mean, it's just unless you have some kind of special contract and there's going to be money passed out later or sell the assets. I don't know. I know one thing. We need to get up off our asses and quit listening to everybody else and quit doing what they tell us to do and think of something, just one thing. Think of one fucking thing that you can do different and do it. One thing. And it does not have to be anything that the Democratic Party is doing, because I personally believe that not only do they not help us, I really believe that they're kind of like low key against us. And that's real unfortunate. And a lot of people wouldn't accept that. That's a big statement there, Black Popcorn. But yeah, they against us. Either you with us or you know, that's how I feel about it. Fuck it. Like, comment, share, and please subscribe. And we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.